Welcome to the PEARRM Services YouTube channel. Please be sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned for weekly updates. Welcome to Season 4 of the PEARRM Services Leadership Podcast. In Season 4, we'll focus on leaders being well-being role models. Today's topic is how the best leaders prioritize mindfulness in the workplace. There are 3 areas that we'll cover: how leaders can and should create and promote stress reduction strategies, how leaders prioritizing mindfulness enhancing productivity, and how mindful leaders are masters of communication and transparency. It is not realistic to avoid stress. It is more realistic to focus on reducing stress. Many individuals, when they are polled, refer to workplace stress as being one of the highest areas of stress for them, many times followed behind financial, and it could be argued that financial and workplace stress go hand in hand. While we recognize that avoiding stress is not possible, it's really important that we're promoting ways to reduce stress, and we're creating strategies to ensure that we have a healthier lifestyle. As leaders, we're not fully responsible for employees, but when we have employees who do look up to us as role models, and we take it a step further to incorporate ways of being role models outside of their job function and taking into account how work and life blend, those are stronger leaders, and those leaders build and develop stronger workforces and stronger relationships with their employees. For leaders to be able to create and promote stress reduction strategies, it's important for leaders to face head-on that stress is unavoidable. For them to recognize the areas within the workplace that cause stress. So those leaders who are pointing out and being authentic about the areas that are stressful for them within the workplace, as well as recognizing and pointing out the areas that are stressful for their employees, that goes a long way. A leader burying their head in the sand and pretending that stress does not exist, and or ignoring the areas of stress for themselves or the employees, will, 1, burn out themselves if they're not addressing their stress, but 2, they will have a less productive and a less engaged workforce and could see higher levels of turnover. So for a leader to be able to promote stress reduction, it's important that they are recognizing where the stress comes from. So when they're recognizing the areas that are causing the stress, they're working to address the areas that are in their control, and they're communicating that with their employees. That will go a long way. Another way that leaders can promote stress reduction is by asking employees for feedback. While many leaders understand the areas that are most stressful in the workplace, there are times that there are blind spots, and leaders could miss areas that are causing stress for the employees. So to be effective in reducing stress and promoting strategies to help employees do the same, a leader must understand fully where the stress areas are. And to do so, a leader must have open communication, regular communication, and be deliberate about asking the question of, what is most stressful for you? What are the ways that I can remove stress? And being very direct about what's in the leader's control, what's in the employee's control, and areas that are not in either of their control, and then talk about how to address those. So if a leader is working with a workforce that is global and that's working across time zones, and that's causing a lot of stress because the employee feels as if they're always working in a situation where they're never getting caught up, The leader could encourage that employee to be very direct with the individuals in the different time zones, set boundaries, and also understand when and how to work and how to effectively manage all areas of their work while ensuring that they're being clear about what's in their control, what times they will work, and how they will fill in any gaps. The other way that leaders can be sure that they're being role models for their workforce is by prioritizing mindfulness and ensuring that they're doing so in a way that employees see that they're being role models about practicing their mindfulness. What that might look like is a leader might share with an employee that after getting back from that very big trip, their very first thing to do is to check in with their family and have a little time for themselves by going out to get a manicure and a pedicure, or by having some time with friends and going out for a drink or going out to dinner, or by getting home and jumping on their Peloton bike or their Soul Cycle bike or jumping on the treadmill and just doing a really hard workout to make up for the time that they missed. Leaders might also prioritize mindfulness by sharing with their employees that they do not start their day until they have paused to show gratitude and to say a prayer. They might also share that twice per week they block their calendar for themselves. And that might look like taking a yoga class, that might look like going outside for a walk and getting fresh air. But the leader who is being very deliberate about sharing with their employees that mindfulness is important to them and that they pause to ensure that they are resetting and that they're sharing the different ways in which they do that will encourage the employees to do the same. In today's workforce, whether employees are working in the office, working from home, or a combination of both, there are stresses that are evident, and employees are looking to their leaders to be role models. And so, as the leaders recognize this and continue to share ways in which they prioritize their well being through mindfulness, they will encourage employees to do the same. Better yet, leaders who are asking employees in a public forum to share what's important for them as it relates to mindfulness. How do they reset? How do they stay grounded? And how are they prioritizing themselves at all times? Will give other employees ideas and will also help employees recognize that the leader is serious about and also deliberate about promoting mindfulness in the workplace. The best ways to do that as well is to encourage employees to take breaks. Be sure that whether those are employees of faith who want to pause and give gratitude and say a prayer, or employees who are very focused on their physical health and want to ensure that they go out and take a walk, or employees who are really focused on their diet and want to make sure that several times per week they have an opportunity to make a home cooked meal. Leaders who are normalizing that and recognizing that the ways that they practice mindfulness is very different for others and normalizing the opportunity for employees to do the same. That might look something like, "Hey Joe, did you have a chance to run this morning?" "Ah, no, you didn't. When was the last time you ran? Let me know if I can help, because I know that your runs are really important to you." Or, "Hey Jane, did you make anything good over the weekend? Were you able to meal prep? I know that the weekend before was really hectic because work kind of spilled over, but I'm hoping that this past weekend you were able to pause and do your meal prep for the week because I know that really sets you up for success." That helps the employee recognize that one, you are listening to them when they speak, and two, you care about them and you recognize ways that it's easy for employees to fall off the wagon, and you are prompting them to stay focused on what's most important, their overall well-being. The other way that leaders can prioritize mindfulness and role model that for their employees is to be sure that they are sharing different ways in which they are falling short and how they're being consistent and deliberate about getting on track. So if a leader is very serious about getting at least 7 or even 8 hours per night of sleep, and because they were in a different time zone, they were not able to do that, not even one day out of the week, sharing with their employees how much that is important to them and how vivid it is for them in their mind that they miss that, and getting back on track quickly. That will help the employees recognize that the leader is serious about their own well-being. The third way that leaders can be role models to help employees ensure that they're prioritizing mindfulness in the workplace is to ensure that they are great communicators and they are transparent. Leaders who are transparent will help their employees reduce stress and be able to be more deliberate about their mindfulness. An employee working with a leader who they know will share the most important things with them timely, and be very honest and communicative about what is important for them to know, that employee will have a little bit less stress because they know that their leader is prioritizing and communicating what's important for them to know, and that if the leader is not sharing a certain topic or a certain information, then it's not something that affects them. So leaders should always ensure that they are sharing information timely, that they are sharing transparently, and that they are listening for questions that employees have. While many leaders are great communicators verbally and in writing, information shared with employees are many times misunderstood. And so when a leader shares information and takes the time to ask for feedback and to give the employee an opportunity to ask questions, that will help to clarify any areas that may have been misunderstood or misinterpreted. Mindful leaders are great communicators. They excel at being transparent, and they also prioritize getting employee feedback. They recognize that the information that they share is clear and that it comes from a really good place, but they also recognize that every employee is in a different journey within their career, and every employee accepts and absorbs information in a different way. So when that leader takes the time to ask the employee for feedback and to ask to ensure that they understand, that will ensure that the workplace is one that is thriving as it relates to communication. So, a mindful leader might be sharing information as it relates to a new product that is coming out and what that means as it relates to artificial intelligence. And an employee might hear that information as, we will need less employees in the workplace, and absorb that in a way as, this new change, this new product will affect my job. So a leader sharing that information and asking for feedback, and an employee asking, so does this mean that our workforce will change? Will we have less or more employees after this rollout? That will give the leader an opportunity to clarify that not only will there be changes in the employee population, but there will be a new department added because of this new feature, because of this new product. That will put the employee's mind at ease and help the employee to recognize that the organization is not going to be automating, but that the organization will instead actually be growing to embrace artificial intelligence. Leaders should ensure that as they continue to be great, as they continue to thrive in the workplace, that they are prioritizing their own mindfulness. They should also ensure that they're sharing that openly and honestly in the workplace. They should do this through promoting stress reduction strategies for the employees and ensure that they are practicing mindfulness and they're prioritizing how employees can do so themselves. They should also ensure that they are great at communicating and that they're as transparent as they can be. Thank you for listening to this week's topic, and I look forward